Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling something we all face sooner or later.
Definitely. Those really difficult periods in life.
Exactly. Things like, losing a job, dealing with heartbreak, or the loss of someone close. Those moments that can just floor you.
Right.
So our aim here is really to offer a shortcut kind of to the practical strategies that people across the US, working professionals specifically, are actually using to navigate these challenges.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that these insights aren't theoretical. They come from our lived experience. We're looking at what folks in various jobs and situations have found genuinely helps them day to day.
It's about tangible actions, things you can actually do, not just ideas.
Precisely. Grounded in reality.
Okay, so let's dive right in. The first big theme that kept coming up was about embracing your emotions, acknowledging how you actually feel.
hmm Which sounds straightforward, but it's often surprisingly difficult, isn't it?
Yeah, there can be pressure, maybe especially at work, to just keep it together, put on a brave face.
Absolutely. But the experiences we looked at really underscore that allowing yourself to feel the sadness or the anger or the confusion, that's a vital first step. Trying to push it down, it just seems to make things harder in the long run.
It's like you have to go through it, not around it.
Exactly. And interestingly, just naming the emotion, say, I feel angry or I feel lost, that act itself can actually lessen its intensity a bit.
That makes sense. One specific practice people mentioned quite a bit was journaling.
Oh, yeah.
Someone shared feeling totally lost after a layoff and just writing everything down, the good, the bad, the messy, and it helped them sort of process it.
It's like giving those swirling thoughts a place to land, right? Putting pen to paper or even just typing it out. It creates distance.
Yeah, lets you look at it a bit more objectively, maybe.
I think so. It helps you observe those feelings without getting completely swept away by them. And sometimes you spot patterns you weren't even aware of.
Okay, so acknowledging feelings is step one. Then, what helps move things forward? Connection seemed huge.
Absolutely fundamental. Leaning on others. The research backs this up consistent. Social support is a massive buffer against stress and adversity.
The stories we saw reflected that, just simple things like a friend bringing over food when someone's mom passed away. That practical care.
And says, you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And that's incredibly powerful. It counters that feeling of isolation that can creep in during tough times.
And it's not just physical presence anymore, is it? Lots of people mention virtual connection being key.
Definitely. Video calls, group chats, online communities,
Mm.
especially when you're geographically separated from your support network.
Mm.
Technology is a real tool here.
It's about being intentional, though. Reaching out.
Right. And also allowing others in when they offer help. That can be hard too sometimes.
True. Okay, so feelings, connections. What about day-to-day structure? Routine came up a lot.
Yes, which might seem counterintuitive when your world feels like it's in chaos, but it acts as an anchor.
How so?
Well, think about losing a job. Everything's up in the air. But establishing a simple routine, okay, 9 to 11 is job searching, then exercise, then lunch, it provides a sense of normalcy, predictability.
It gives you back a little bit of control, maybe, over your own schedule at least.
Exactly. It gives the day some shape, some purpose, even if it's small. And that structure can actually calm your nervous system when everything else feels uncertain, stops you from just drifting.
Yeah, I can see that. It prevents that feeling of just floating aimlessly.
hmm Creates forward momentum.
Now, sometimes, even with support and routine, things feel too big. Which brings us to professional help. Therapy.
Right. And while there can still be, some hesitation or stigma around it for some people,
Yeah.
the experiences shared by these working professionals really paint it as a valuable resource, not just for a major crisis, but almost like emotional fitness,
Mm.
preventative maintenance.
Building resilience before the storm hits.
Yeah. Precisely. People talked about how therapy gave them new tools, new ways of understanding their own patterns or coping with difficult feelings, like after a tough breakup, for example.
It's about getting that specialized guidance, isn't it? Someone trained to help you navigate this stuff.
Yeah, counselors and therapists offer that objective perspective, plus evidence-based strategies that you might not figure out on your own. It's an investment, really.
In your own well-being. Okay, shifting gears. Slightly physical activity. That connection between body and mind.
Huge. Consistently mentioned.
Yeah.
Getting your body moving.
But it doesn't have to be running a marathon, right?
Not at all.
Oh.
Long walks, yoga, dancing in your living room. Anything that gets you moving. It releases endorphins, those natural mood boosters.
Plus, it's a good distraction sometimes. Healthy distraction.
Totally. It shifts your focus, changes your physical state, which can definitely influence your emotional state. even temporarily.
Yeah.
Finding something you can stick with is key.
Consistency over intensity.
You got it.
Another very practical tip was about goals, but specifically small goals.
Yes. Because when you're facing something huge grief, a massive job search, it can feel completely overwhelming, paralyzing even.
Right. So the idea is to break it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Focus on one achievable thing for today. Maybe it's just making your bed,
Yeah.
or sending one email, or doing 10 minutes of research.
Then those small wins, they add up.
They really do. They build confidence. They give you that little dopamine hit of accomplishment and prove you're not totally stuck. It creates momentum.
Shifting focus from the mountain to the next small step.
That's a great way to put it.
What about managing the racing thoughts? The anxiety, the sadness that can just take over your mind. Mindfulness and meditation came up.
This one can feel a bit more abstract for some people, maybe.
Perhaps less concrete than making a schedule.
True. But the professionals who used it described it as creating a refuge, learning to be present with whatever is happening right now without judgment.
How does that work in practice?
It could be simple breathing exercises, paying attention to sounds around you, spending time in nature consciously. Some people mention using apps like Headspace or Calm, especially starting out.
So it's not about stopping the thoughts, but observing them.
Exactly. Observing them without getting carried away. It helps you stay grounded in the present moment rather than dwelling on past regrets or future worries. Creates a bit of space.
Space to breathe mentally.
Yeah. A very valuable skill during turmoil.
Okay, and the last main strategy we saw was about distractions, but meaningful distractions.
Right, because while you do need to process the difficult stuff, you also need breaks. Constant processing is exhausting.
Avoidance isn't the goal, but respite.
Exactly. Constructive distractions. Things like reading a good book, getting lost in an art project, volunteering, gardening.
Someone mentioned starting a garden after losing their mother, found it really healing.
Yeah, activities that engage you in a positive way. They provide rest, maybe even moments of joy or purpose, which helps you recharge your batteries to face the harder stuff again.
Finding healthy escapes, essentially.
Healthy ways to refill your cup.
So, wrapping this up, as we look back at all these strategies from working folks across the U.S., it's clear there's no single magic bullet, is there?
Not at all. It's really a toolkit, isn't it? Embracing feelings, connecting, routine, maybe getting help, moving your body, small goals, being present, finding those healthy distractions.
It's multifaceted. And it seems the core message is that it's okay, necessary, even to seek support and actively prioritize taking care of yourself through these tough times.
Absolutely. And maybe that leads to a final thought for you listening.
Go on.
Which of these strategies really resonates with you? Even if you're not in a crisis right now, think about which one you could perhaps explore or practice more intentionally, building these coping skills before you need them. That's how you build real, lasting resilience for whatever life throws your way next.